Thanks for tuning into this video weather briefing. Wow, it's been very active this winter in Southern California. Looks like it will continue. This briefing will talk about that and a little bit more as active weather returns. So far, the percent of normal precipitation across Southern California, 150 to 200%. So 1.5 to 2 times as much as we would see in a normal year. You can see it's been focused especially on Southern California since the start of the wet season. Specific numbers are shown here at some automated rain gauges. Almost all of them over 200% of normal, or 2 times what they normally would see on an average year. We even have deep snowpack. There is snow above 7,000 feet, and at a gauge at 9,500 feet, 2 feet of water equivalent in that snow. That is a lot of water to melt off, and great for water supply. All right, the current weather pattern. We have a weak weather system moving into Central and Southern California. It's been strong for Northern California. That'll move through tonight and Thursday morning. Then we turn to a system taking a little further southern track. That'll arrive early Saturday morning. Then much further upstream, coming from the northwest Pacific, is a colder and potentially stronger storm. That's due to arrive sometime next week. The weather pattern. This is what it looks like for the weekend storm. It will weaken as it moves through, as it opens up and becomes a flatter storm system, not as cold, but nonetheless still bring widespread precipitation on Saturday. It does come in as an atmospheric river, but like mentioned before, it is weakening. So it comes in rather strong for Point Conception, California coast, but as the system weakens and flattens out, the atmospheric river begins to fall apart, but not before that widespread precipitation, with locally heavy amounts in our higher terrain of the San Bernardino Mountains. Here are the expectations for the precipitation through Thursday. You can see mostly light, but everyone gets a little bit of rain, with up around 1/4 inch or locally a little bit more for the San Bernardino Mountains for storm number 1. Now for storm number 2, that comes in early Saturday through Saturday night, most of it tapering off Saturday evening. This storm also is weakening as it moves through, but enough to produce 1 to 2 inches of precipitation over the San Bernardino Mountains. We do see snow levels starting off high, but coming down to about 6,000 feet later on Saturday. For most valley areas, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of precipitation, with some spillover into the deserts. The wind will be a factor, mainly over the higher terrain as shown here. We'll see gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour, with the favored locations getting gusts on the desert slopes over 50 miles per hour. All right, when we add up the weather systems, the 2 events through Sunday look like this. We see the yellow shade of 1 to 2 inches of precipitation across the San Bernardino Mountains and also in the Santa Ana Mountains and parts of Mount San Jacinto. Now elsewhere we see generally 1/4 to 1/2 inch, with locally 3/4 to 1 inch. Looks like northern San Diego County doing the best with this storm because, like mentioned before, it does weaken as it exits the LA basin. All right, the storm pattern looks like it gets more active next week. We're looking at the period starting March 6th. This is a look at an average of all weather models, so not one particular one, and it shows moderate strength of a storm system approaching the eastern Pacific as early as Wednesday, and then slowly moving through on Thursday. Initially high snow levels, and they come down quite a bit to rather low snow levels, as this is a much colder storm we're dealing with next week. Also more moisture. This weather pattern looks like it'll persist at least into Friday of next week, as shown here. This storm potential starting with midweek also has a greater potential for an atmospheric river, as shown here, with a deeper shaded red area. Looks like it'll focus on central and then eventually into Southern California sometime mid to late next week. The official outlook for this period calls for high confidence of above normal precipitation. So March normally is an active month with significant rainfall. So what this tells us is that even above normal for March during the period of March 4th through 13th. So some heavy precipitation for central and then eventually even southern California. The official forecast right now only goes out through Wednesday. This is updated each day. But through Wednesday, here are the numbers, and you can see some very large precipitation totals for the Sierra Nevada, and then also large precipitation totals for Point Conception down into the San Bernardino Mountains, where we have forecast amounts here ranging from 2 to 4 inches. And this does not even include the bigger storm system potential, which is after March 6. All right, here's the summary. So we deal with a weak system early Thursday, but we deal with a little bit stronger but still weakening system for early Saturday morning through Saturday evening. Snow levels getting down to around 6,000 feet when the cold air comes in Saturday. Precipitation with that storm mainly light, but we'll see moderate amounts along our coastal slopes, including Orange and San Bernardino, with about a 1/4 inch to maybe a third per hour at its peak. Saturday afternoon looks to be the strongest. Total precipitation will be 1 to 2 inches, with again locally around 3. For the valley areas of Orange County, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Most of that will be on Saturday's storm. For San Diego area, northern county doing the best, ranging from a 1/4 to 1/2. The least amounts near the Imperial Beach area and the Mexico border. Some spill over into the deserts. Now we look for a significant storm moving through late next week, starting as early as Wednesday and swinging all the way through Friday. That looks to be much colder. Snow levels getting lower, and initially very high snow levels due to a potential moderately intense atmospheric river setting up middle of next week. So stay tuned. All right. Please tune in to weather.gov San Diego to get the latest updates, Facebook and Twitter if you prefer social media, or go right to our weather.gov San Diego page.